Welcome to Talking Black and Blue, where the rivalries run deep and every Sunday is a battle. I'm your man, Will McCann, and along with my partner, Tellis Everett, we're a couple of fans from the heart of the Midwest bringing you real talk and weekly breakdowns from the NFC North, the Black and Blue division. So whether you rep green and gold, Honolulu blue, purple and gold, or you rep the monsters of the Midway, you are in the right place. So lace up, strap in, and let's talk black and blue. Tell us, my man, what is up?
What's going on, Will McCann? Hey, friends and kinfolk, thank you for supporting the Black and Blue podcast. We love talking NFC North football, but when we're not, we are realtors in the state of Michigan. So if you know anyone that is looking to buy, sell, or invest in the next 3 days, 3 weeks, or 3 months, hit us up for a winning game plan in real estate. Will McCann, let's get into these Minnesota Viking legends.
The Minnesota Vikings, man. A team with a great history, man. I remember this team. This was one of my favorite teams growing up. I liked watching this team. I'll say it that way. The Cowboys were like my favorites. But, man, and they always had these battles with the Minnesota Vikings and came up short against the Vikings often, right? The Vikings won the NFC Championship game 3 out of 4 years. At one point, you played in all 4 years. I think they beat the Cowboys twice, if I'm not mistaken, if not all 3 times. So yeah, they used to have the battles, Fran Tarkenton and Roger Staubach, the Purple People Eaters, that fearsome, that front four that they had. So the Vikings always had, I won't say always, but the Vikings have had some great teams in their history, man, and some great players. So yeah, I'm going to enjoy breaking them down today. So let's take a look at the history of the Minnesota Vikings. And here we are. You can see my screen here, can't you, guys?
Yep.
All right. Yeah, the Minnesota Vikings. They came into the league in 1961. They came in as part of the AFL started in 1960. So the NFL started to try to expand and try to fight off the AFL. So they started to try to go into markets that the AFL wasn't in yet, even though the AFL had gone to Dallas with the Dallas Texans. The NFL came in 1960 with the Cowboys, and then in 1961, the Minnesota Vikings. So they've been in existence for 65 years, and they have a winning record in their history. You can see they've won 546 games in their history. They have been to the playoffs 32 times, and they have 21 playoff victories. Though they have won the NFC Championship game 4 times, they have yet to win the Super Bowl. So they have no championships in their history. And their winningest coach is Bud Grant with 168 victories, and Bud has a winning record. You can see their all-time leading passer is Fran Tarkenton. And when I looked at this, I was looking at this information for this show, and I saw that he had 33,000 yards. I thought that was a mistake because I remember when he retired, he was the all-time leader in passing yards with over 47,000. So I thought, wait a minute, what's wrong? I thought that my source was wrong, but then I remembered, and when I looked it up, he played 5 years with the Giants.
Right.
He was originally drafted by the Vikings. They traded him to the Giants, and the Giants traded him back. So that's why that number is, and that's his number with the Minnesota Vikings, and 239 touchdowns. Adrian Peterson is their all-time leading rusher with over 11,000 yards, almost 12, and 97 touchdowns. Chris Carter, the all-time leading receiver with over 12,000 yards, 110 touchdowns, and their kicker from the 70s, my man Fred Cox, one of the few straight-leg kickers who is the all-time leading scorer for his team. Fred Cox with over 1,300 points in his career. And that is the history of the Minnesota Vikings. So what do you know, or remember, I should say, of the history of the Vikings?
I remember, well, of course, Chris Carter, right? But I do remember, and the kids probably won't know this name, but Ahmad Rashad. Yeah, they probably know him from doing the sideline reporting with Michael Jordan. Being the best buddy to Michael Jordan.
Right.
I just remember him playing and watching him, and he was a decent receiver. I mean,
He was a good receiver. Yes, he was.
yeah, he had a couple of good games out there. I mean, he wasn't a stalwart. He's not going to be like a someone that is going to be a Hall of Famer or even like a Ring of Honor type of guy. But he did have 4 Pro Bowls, right?
Yeah. I was going to say, I think he would be a Ring of Honor guy.
I mean, when we get into these receivers,
Well, I hear you. I hear you. And I hear you loud and clear, sir. I hear you loud and clear.
but he does have a signature. But he does have a signature catch, the miracle at the Met, the Hail Mary.
Yep.
Remains as one of the top franchise receivers, and so he's up there, and and he married Felicia Rashad.
Right,
So,
right. He married well.
During her peak.
He married well, so we know he knows how to pull chicks. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was during her peak.
Right. He got player skills. We know that.
So that's my thing. And then Fran Tarkenton, man. I mean, geez, he just epitomized Minnesota Vikings, that that ability where you never quit on a play.
Yes.
Never quit on a play. He would scramble for hours back there and then make something happen. So they were a fun team to watch. And then you mentioned Adrian Peterson.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot how dominant this guy was.
That dude was a beast, man. What a deal that dude was.
Yeah. So some great careers there, man. Some great careers.
Yeah. I agree, man. I agree. So as far as iconic players and coaches for you, I know we talked about a few of them. Who are some of the coaches that they've had who would come to mind for you, or have any coaches they've had stood out?
For me, none of the coaches stood out. So when I was doing my research on it, definitely surprised by the winning percentage that Bud Grant had, at .62.
Yeah.
621 winning percentage. Hall of Fame, 4 Super Bowl appearances, 11 division titles, like you were talking about, facing the Cowboys. They had 11 divisional titles. So, definitely one of the GOATs as far as Minnesota Vikings head coach. And then Dennis Green, right?
Dennis Green is my guy, man. Yeah.
Again,
I loved Bud Grant. Bud was just a great coach, man, because his teams were great. Got his teams prepared. Bud was a family man. I'm gonna say it that way. Mm-hmm. Bud made sure his coaches went home by 5:00, man. They worked 9 to 5, right?
Yeah.
He wasn't one of these lifer. Well, he was a lifer, but he wasn't one of these all night people, right? He had he had work-life balance, right?
Sure.
And he preached that to his players, right? He was that kind of coach. But Denny Green, man, just had all of the quotes, man, just the crazy things he would say all the time, man. They had that fun offense that they ran with him, man. So Denny Green was my guy, man, because you never knew what he was going to say at the podium.
Exactly. And that goes back to last week when we were talking about the Lions. Dennis Green is in that similar category with Dwayne Fatts, as far as like the quotables and being a player's coach and protecting your players and that type of thing. So definitely Denny Green is up there for me.
Yeah, man. I remember that defensive line for them, man. The Purple People Eaters, Jim Marshall, Carl Eller on the edges, Alan Page in the middle controlling things, man. They wrecked games, bro. That's what made it always hard on the Cowboys, man. They just couldn't block those guys for 60 minutes, right? For 65 plays, they wreaked havoc, man, and made it hard on everybody.
Yeah.
Any team in particular for you that you remember for the Minnesota Vikings that stands out for you?
Not particularly. It's just individual players, right? So we talked about Chris Carter and Adrian Peterson, Randy Moss, right? Anthony Carter.
Yeah, yeah.
Those, and I don't think we've actually addressed this, but I'm a receiver guy. Like
Mhm.
when I was coming up and playing football as a little kid through middle school and high school, I was a receiver.
Right, right.
Right. So
Okay.
I do have an affinity for receivers and running backs as well. And I
Hmm.
talk about those individuals that play those positions, and that's what I was watching and looking at.
Okay, okay.
And I think that's kind of one of the differences and dynamics for the two of us, right?
Right,
You're more
right. It
the in the
really is.
trench guy, and that,
It really
right.
is.
So yeah,
I
for
was, I
me,
was, go
yeah,
ahead, go ahead.
yeah, but for me, you the Carters, Randy Moss, Adrian Peterson, those guys is what I remember. But as far as like a team goes, I just don't have a team that I was like really looking at and say, oh man, that Minnesota team from 1984.
Right,
I
right.
just don't have that.
Okay, cool, cool. I get it. I get it. But yeah, I can see it, man. I mean, you're that dude, man. You're a pretty boy. You want to be out there where there weren't a whole lot of people. You ain't want to mix it up with folks. You want to be out there on the edge.
That's right. That's right. Yep,
But yeah,
exactly.
man, for me, man, even though I love, like I said, Tarkenton, man, people, every time there's a running quarterback, well, not so much these days, but like when we were younger, more so people were, every time there's a running quarterback, people compared him to Fran Tarkenton.
Right.
Only Fran Tarkenton wasn't a running quarterback. Tarkenton didn't run at all. He just
No,
scrambled
he
forever,
just
like you
grabbed.
said. He just
Yeah.
ran around and made plays. The closest thing I've seen to him was Russell Wilson, when he was at his
Right.
best, right?
Right.
Russell
Yep.
was that way. He wasn't the guy who went and got a lot of first downs, even though he did that, I think, more often than Tarkenton did. But mostly, man, Russ was just running around avoiding sackers to try to
Mhm.
make a play.
Right. Right. Right.
But for me, man, it was that 1999 team with Randall Cunningham at quarterback, with Chris Carter, with Randy Moss. The way they were lighting people up, man, that team was just fun to watch that year, man, and to watch their kicker be perfect all year and then miss the game-winning kick in the NFC Championship game, and the Falcons beat them and go on to the Super Bowl. To have their season in that way, man, is still crushing to Vikings fans today. Vikings fans, I hate to bring that up for you.
uh,
But living here in Detroit as a Lions fan, we don't feel too sympathetic for you for stuff like that, because that's a regular around here. So yeah, you can take a
right.
little bit of
Right.
that too.
Right.
Misery
Right.
loves company, and we thank you for joining us.
That was in '99.
It wasn't 99. I'm sorry, that was 98. It was the
That was
98
'98.
season. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, how old was Randall Cunningham at that time? Jeez, I
That
feel
was
like
toward the end for Randall.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
In fact, if I remember correctly, Randall was only, I can't remember who was the quarterback. Can't remember who the quarterback was at that time for Minnesota, but he got hurt. It may have been Brad Johnson or somebody, right? But the
Mm,
quarterback got hurt, and
okay.
Randall went in like week one, week two, early in the season, and they only lost. They were 15-1 that year, and it's like, nah, team rolling. We can't put you back in, my guy.
Right, right,
And
right.
yeah, Randall ended up being an MVP candidate that season.
Nice, nice.
All right, man, let's talk about our all-time uh, uh, Minnesota Vikings team. I couldn't find my notes here for a second. We got flustered there. All right. Going by positions here, coming up with our all-time team. Starting again on offense with wide receiver. Who do you have at wide receiver for the Minnesota Vikings?
Look, this was kind of tough. Chris Carter right off the bat is number one, right? But then when you talk about Anthony Carter and Randy Moss,
Mm,
yeah, it's really so. I'm leaning Randy Moss definitely. As far
okay.
as the all-time receivers for Minnesota Vikings. Of course, Chris Carter, just Pro Bowl Hall of Fame. Played 7 seasons, 8 straight Pro Bowls. So there's nothing you can say about Chris Carter. Randy Moss, one of the most dominant deep threats in the NFL history, right? Run Rookie of the Year in 1998, 17 touchdowns as a rookie. So, yeah, and he's up there as far, I think he's like second in franchise yards and touchdowns. So he's up there. The problem is going to be when Justin Jefferson retires.
It gets more difficult because I had him in that discussion already, right?
He's already in the discussion.
It doesn't matter what he does the rest of his career. He's in the discussion. Now, You're right, though. He can actually elevate himself in that discussion because he still has an opportunity to. I agree with you 100% on that.
Right. Yeah. Justin Jefferson, his what is his 6th year in the league, something like that.
7.
He's already over 8,400 yards.
Yes.
Which is ridiculous, and that passes Randy Moss's total. That guy, if he stays with the Vikings, one more year or 2 more years, he's going to be on the all team, definitely.
Yes, it'll be hard to keep him off that list. Absolutely.
Right.
So we agree there. Let's talk about tight end. Who do you have at tight end?
At tight end, let me pull that up for you. Tight end. Guard. Tight end. So I went back, I looked at it. Of course, I'm familiar with Kyle Rudolph and what he's been able to do. Steve Jordan. Look, you're a tight end, over 6,300 yards, 498 receptions. That's hard to beat. That's hard to beat. And Kyle Rudolph is at 4,400 yards. Mm-hmm. So if I'm picking a tight end, it's got to be Steve Jordan.
Yeah, I agree with you. Steve was a beast, man, and he had those numbers in what was still a running era, right?
Right.
Teams still primarily ran the football, and teams that did throw the football didn't throw to the tight end the way they throw it to today, man. But Steve Jordan was a beast. And he is Cam Jordan's father, and I love Cam and Cam's podcast, so definitely shout out to Steve Jordan. But yeah, and Cam is going to be on the all-time going to be in the New Orleans Saints Ring of Honor when he retires. So it'll be father and sons who are in Ring of Honor on their respective teams.
Right.
All right, so let's talk about the offensive line. Starting with the tackles. Who do you have as tackles?
All right, for tackles, I was looking at Ron Yari, first ballot Hall of Famer, definitely in the Mount Rushmore for tackles. An Iron Man, right? Just protected Fran Tarkenton and Dante Culpepper. 7 Pro Bowls, 6 first-time All-Pro. So that's going to be one of my tackles. The other tackle that I was looking at was Gary Zimmerman. Okay. Another Hall of Famer.
Yep.
Right. 2-time All-Decade team. So, I mean, they got some players, man. They had some.
They sure did, man. No, it was not. I mean, they have some
down
guys.
The list, you're like,
they have some guys recently, like Matt Khalil and Brian McKinney, who played for them, man. That were beasts at the tackle position. But I would agree with you, man. I remember Ron Yari from those Fran Tarkenton teams, man, in the 70s that dominated at right tackle. And Gary Zimmerman more in the 80s, on those 80s teams. Being a beast. And what's nice is I looked at that is that Zimmerman was a left tackle and Yeri was a right tackle. So
Right.
it is nice to have them like that. So who do you
And
have? Go ahead.
I was going to say today they got Christian Darrisaw. So I mean, it's
And
like,
Christian Darrisaw is a
yeah,
guy who is elevating to get into that category. I agree with you.
powerhouse teams, right? Just powerhouse teams, and for whatever reason, they've never made it to the championship or to the Super Bowl and won. But they've got some incredible players.
And when you look at it, as we were talking about the Lions last week, they have a lot of impact players that play close to the ball, right? Because
Right.
I had trouble on both lines trying to find who was going to be the right combination of guys to put on the team, right? It's like, oh
Hmm.
yeah, I remember that guy, man. He was a beast. But yeah, so yeah, I agree with you, man.
Yeah.
So, what about guards? Who do you have as your guards?
Randall McDaniel, probably one of the best guards in the NFL history. 11 consecutive Pro Bowls, 7-time first team All Pro. Just incredible player, and just had a unique ability to, like, his stance was unique. So that kind of that sideways stance, and you see some of the players incorporating that. But athleticism off the charts, right?
For that guy to have been 315 pounds, man, that dude could move. Man, talk about he was the key to their running game. Talk about being a road grader, running the ball outside. Man, him getting outside and getting to linebackers and safeties on the edge. He was a beast. And inside, just a road grader, man, moving people. Yes, Randall McDaniel was arguably the best guard of his era.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then we talk about Adrian Peterson. Definitely, he's going to be one of the top running backs. But early on in his career, he had Steve Hutchinson blocking for him. So I got to put Steve Hutchinson up there, man. 3-time, first-time All-Pro or first-team All-Pro, inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2020. So, I mean, you got Ed White as well. I mean,
It was hard for me to keep Ed White off the team. It was hard for me to keep because he was just one of my guys from back in the '70s. Also, Ed White was a beast, man. But yeah, I would agree with you, man. You got to go with Hutch.
yeah.
And Hutch had actually come over from Seattle, right? He was a
Mm-hmm.
two-time All-Pro with Seattle. So yeah, he came over and was an absolute beast, man. Having guys you can't run the football unless you have guards who can clear the path. And that guy was a beast.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then center to complete the offensive line. Who did you have as your
Yeah.
center?
So for center, I'm going with John Sullivan. And
Okay.
I know that Mike Tanglehoff is out there,
Yeah.
and he's an Iron Man, undrafted free agent, 240 consecutive games, Hall of Famer. But Sullivan was, when you think about it, he was really underrated as Viking. Just a great leader, and arguably probably the best center in the NFL when he played. So definitely, and he's one of those guys too that helped Adrian Peterson,
Yeah.
especially during that MVP season that he had, where he had over
Over
220
2000.
22,000 yards.
Yeah. He was definitely important to that team. I agree with you, man. He was a beast inside. And he's one of those guys that's more recent, right? So
Right.
he is definitely clear to the memory. And he was big too, right?
Hmm.
He
Hmm.
was big, but man, Mick Tingelhoff is my dude, man. First of all, he's on the all name team, right? A dude named Tingelhoff just has to make the team, right?
All day team.
And he was a beat. The reason those Vikings teams could run the football was because of Tingelhoff at center, Air White at guard, and Ron Yeri at tackle, man. They
Hmm.
ran the ball on the right side with those three guys.
Hey, I
I'm
agree
going
with
with
you.
Tingelhoff. I'm going to go
I'm
with
not.
Tingelhoff on that.
I'm not upset with that. I'm not upset with that.
and their running back.
Well, we talk about Adrian Peterson. It just all world and what he was able to do as a running back.
Yes.
So that's a no brainer. And then,
Yep.
but my second, I'm going with Dalvin Cook.
You're going with Dalvin Cook. Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Just a workhorse of a guy. 4 consecutive Pro Bowls. He was a dual threat. He had over 1,700 receiving yards, along with the top 3 ranking in his rushing yards. So I'm going with Dalvin Cook. They got some legends out there, but for me, it's Adrian Peterson and then Dalvin Cook.
And I agree with you on Peterson. How do you not have the all-time leading rusher for the franchise on the list, right?
Right.
Like I said, Adrian Peterson was a beast, man. That guy going downhill was just bringing 240 pounds of monster full speed, right? Yeah, he was tough, man. But my guy, man, was Chuck Foreman, bro. I gotta bring Chuck Foreman into
The
it, man.
spin doctor, okay.
That dude was ridiculous, man. I was gonna say, people talk about guys who could jump cut. He would always jump cut with a spin, bro. And he would, if you think of a guy jump cut to the right and then jump cut back to the left, he would do it with a spin. He would spin to the right and turn around and spin right back into the left, getting into the hole, man. That guy was just so fun to watch. And he was the rusher on those teams that made it to the Super Bowl those years, man. And he was one of the first backs to catch over 40 passes consistently out of the backfield.
Right.
So he impacted the game both in the run and the pass.
Yeah, I think in 1975 he led the league in receptions.
That's right. He did lead the league in receptions one year. Yeah.
70, 71, 72, somewhere in there. Yeah.
So for that reason, man, I go with Chuck Foreman.
Yeah, and I think he also was a rookie of the year too at one when he came into the league.
Was he?
I think so. I think he came in like 72 or 73, and I think he ended up being a good year.
It was 73. Might have been 72. I think, yeah. I remember Carl Eller might have been in 68, 67, 68, might have been rookie of the year also. Okay, cool.
Offensive rookie of the year.
Yeah. Okay. Do we even need to have a conversation at quarterback, man? We've already talked about the guy so much, man. But there are some other guys. I put it this way: there are some other guys who've had some decent seasons for them, but nobody I would call a long-term Minnesota Viking that's had the impact that Fran Tarkenton had.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Dante Culpepper.
Yeah. Talk about guys with a moment, right? He had a moment. Cunningham had a moment. Wade Wilson had a moment.
Right. Tommy Kramer
had a moment.
Right.
And to tell you how good they were, the Vikings went out to get Archie Manning, right? Archie Manning played for them at that time. But yeah, man.
Fran Tarkenton is the Minnesota Vikings quarterback, right?
He is the standard by which every Minnesota Vikings quarterback will be measured.
Absolutely. Kirk Cousins is a close second as far as like stats, elite rating, and all that kind of stuff. But you're not going to think, when you think QB, Minnesota Vikings, it's going to be Fran Tarkenton until somebody comes along.
Yes. To even get into the discussion.
To ever get into the discussion.
Like you said, so I'm not right. I hadn't even considered Cousins when I was because he didn't have that long of a career with them. But you're right, his numbers were great while he was with them. But one of the reasons I didn't consider him because he wasn't there that long. Like neither was Cunningham, right? And Cunningham really only had the 1 year. But yeah, man, it's hard, man. It's hard.
But Minnesota Vikings, you might have the legend in your locker room to replace Fran Tarkenton.
That 8, 7, what was his name? 8, Seven.
JJ.
I can't think. Nine. That dude. Nine.
Nine,
That's what they
nine,
call it. Nine.
exactly,
I knew it was a number,
exactly.
man. It was so forgettable. I couldn't even remember what number it was.
Now we joke, but you might have a QB legend enter your locker room this season. So
You
the
never
current
know,
news,
man. I
the current
never.
news that's out there, you might have a legend entering your locker room.
Whew,
Uh,
I hope I'm rooting for JJ. I'm just gonna say it that way. I'm rooting for JJ, man. I think
he just needs some time. So, and we'll get back into the legends talk. He just needs some time, right? He might need a year or two, and bringing somebody like Aaron Rodgers in there this year might help ease the learning curve for the young man. Because if you bring Aaron Rodgers in there this year, Aaron Rodgers is going to play. You're not going to sit Aaron Rodgers behind JJ, but JJ can sit there and he can learn from Aaron Rodgers.
Yep.
Right? Even if Aaron Rodgers is reluctant to teach anybody, JJ can still sit there and learn the game of football from this guy. So it might be a good situation for them.
Yeah, we'll get into that talk later, man. Because there's a lot there to unravel, bro. Because
Yeah.
there's a lot there.
I just don't want to spend a lot of time on it. I just
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
say
yeah. Right. I know. Because we certainly
we
did, right?
we're both hard on JJ, but it's the situation that he's in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's the problem, right? It's
yeah.
not that he can't be a good player.
Right.
It's just he needs time to develop.
We've been hard on him, but we're rooting for him, right?
Right. Absolutely.
That's why we're hard on you, bro. If we had given up on you, there wouldn't even be any conversation.
Right.
Let's move on and talk about the Minnesota Vikings legends on defense. Starting at defensive end, who do you have as your end? This was hard for me, man. I'm gonna tell you, this was tough for me.
Was it? I mean, I could, there's some legends out there, man. Jared Allen. For me, I'm going Jared Allen and Chris Dolman.
Okay.
I know that there's some other Hall of Famers on this list.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there are some defensive players of the year like Kyle
Yeah.
Eller, which I'm assuming you're probably going to go Kyle Eller. But I watched Chris Dolman. I watched Jared Allen. When you talk about ends that could affect the game,
Coming off the edge.
those two,
Both
for me, those two, they stood out.
came off the edge hard, bro.
Yeah. So Chris Dolman is a Hall of Famer. He was a sack leader in 1989. He has 96 and a half official sacks. So, just incredible performance. And then again, Jared Allen, when I think about Minnesota Vikings, Jared Allen has to be on that team. 2011 Defensive Player of the Year, Hall of Famer.
Yeah, and when you say it that way, I really think, because I think more of when you say, when I think Minnesota Vikings, I really think more Chris Dolman than Jared Allen, because Chris Dolman played his entire career for the Vikings, where Allen started with the Chiefs before he came over. And then there was Jim Marshall. Even though Jim Marshall is famously remembered for scoring a touchdown going the wrong way with a fumble he recovered, Jim Marshall was nice on the end, playing defensive end. Daniil Hunter was a beast for them. Everson Griffin and Daniil Hunter used to give the Lions fits. Matthew Stafford still has nightmares about them cats, man. But yeah, I went with Jared Allen also. See, I'm a walking contradiction, right? I said Dolman is the guy that you think of as an all-time Viking. But yes, I had Jared Allen on my list. And you absolutely called it. Yes, I have Carl Eller. It is Carl Eller. But it was tough. It was tough for me to leave Dolman off the list, man. It came down to those three, and
Yeah.
like you said, if you remember at that time, Jared Allen just wrecked games, man.
Right. Right.
That's kind of why I went with him over
Yeah.
Dolman. And
Yep.
Dolman played with a little better line, also, right? He
True.
had
True.
some other guys whose name he had John Randall and Henry Thomas on the line with him, right? So he had some better players he played with than Allen. I mean, than Jared Allen, and that's why I kind of gave Allen the edge.
Okay.
Well, let's talk about
I'm
defensive
not mad
tackle.
at that.
Let's talk about defensive tackle.
Okay. Okay. So you mentioned John Randall. So he's on my list.
Yeah,
Undrafted free agent, 10 times, double digit sacks. Right. Official all-time sack leader for the Vikings. So yeah, I mean he's got to be up there. And then it was a toss-up for me, but I was going between Alan Page and Kevin Williams, but I'm selling with Kevin Williams.
I'm leaving, man. I'm done.
Are you denying the Williams wall?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. But I can't believe you disrespected Alan Page like that, man. But go on, because
No, no,
hey,
just a
Pat Williams
force.
was a beast, man.
He
Pat,
was a beast. He was a dominant interior force. Earned 5 first team All Pro selections, and he's going to be a Hall of Famer. He's going to be in that 2026 class.
yeah, when you're talking about picking between Hall of Famers, right? You can't go wrong, right?
We didn't have this problem. We didn't have this problem last week when we had to pick tackles for the Lions.
See, man, I wasn't even gonna say that about them. You just had to get them with hit the Lions fans with that left. But you're absolutely right. Again, we talk about guys who are closest to the football, right?
Right, right.
They've had a lot of great players, man, and both of those guys are great, man. And you're right, the Williams wall with Pat Williams and Kevin Williams, right? They were, and I am a little older than you, right? So I know I saw more of Alan Page in his prime than you did. And I always tell my son when you're talking about, favorite players and all-time players, don't try to judge guys you didn't see. Because you never saw them, right? Talk about your all-time thing. Who are the best guys you saw? So yeah, if you say Pat Williams was that dude, Pat Williams was that dude. I can't argue with that at all, right? I mean, Kevin Williams.
Yeah. But I support you if you want to throw Alan Page on there.
Right. It's hard to go either way, right?
Right.
But it's hard for me not to have John Randall on there. Oh, and then Keith Millard. I didn't even talk about Keith Millard. Man, I forgot about him.
Defensive Player of the Year.
Yes. Keith Millard was one of the. We talk about they have guys who have played defensive tackle that have led the league in sacks. That is crazy, bro. Yeah, so they are impacting the quarterback from the interior of the line.
Right. I think he has a record for the most sacks or something for
Yes, he has the record for most sacks by a defensive tackle. I think at one time, because we talked about Bubba Baker last week. Bubba, I'm pretty sure, was the first player to get 20 sacks. And then I think Keith Millard had 21. And then he had 21 from the tackle position, right?
Right.
And then I think Strahan broke Millard's record. So with 21 and a half or something like that. So yeah, it was Millard's record he broke. So yeah, he still has the record for most by an interior defensive line. So yeah, that dude was a beast. All right, let's talk about linebackers for the Vikings. And who do you have as your linebackers? Go ahead and give me all three.
Go ahead and give me all three. So I was looking at it, and and just looking kind of like the versatility of a linebacker, those type of things. So Matt Blair is one of those guys, Chad Greenway and Eric Kendricks. Those
Okay,
are my three.
huh? Okay.
Those are my three. Now, again, for me, I'm looking at players that kind of stood out. I recognize them. I can see what's happening.
Yeah.
I can see the explosion,
Yeah.
where they're kind of going off script to make plays, but also controlling the defense in a sense, right? So
Yeah.
those are the three that I was looking at. What about you?
Yeah, and I agree with you, man. As I'm going through picking players for my list, yeah, I'm looking at guys who are impact players. Who are
Yeah.
the impact players? Guys who just they were difference makers. Looking for difference makers and guys who made an impact, right? So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I've got the first two you had also, Matt Blair and
Okay.
Chad Greenway for sure. But of
Yeah.
course, I went old school again. I can see why you would have picked Hendricks. I went old school. I went back to those Super Bowl teams, and I picked Jeff Simon, who was
Okay.
the linebacker on those teams. Matt Blair, man, he's one of my favorite athletes of all time. That dude was just ridiculous, man. He played special teams. And I meant to say that about Chris Carter earlier, so I'm going to say it now. Chris Carter, what's his name? John Madden used to always say, he knew the Minnesota Vikings were playing a big game when they had Chris Carter returning punts.
Mm.
If he wasn't the normal punt returner, you look back, you see Chris Carter returning punts. Okay, the Vikings feel like this is a big game because that
Yeah.
guy was a difference maker. Matt Blair was that way also on special teams, man. That guy blocked punts, he blocked field goals. He was all over the place, man. I loved watching Matt Blair play football. And Chad Greenway, like you said, man, just all over the middle of the field.
Right.
He plays, just being a difference maker, and playing with Kendricks in the middle, or at the second level for those Vikings teams in the 20 teams. Yeah, those guys definitely made impact, man. But like I said, I remember Jeff Simon from the old teams, man. So I put him on my list.
Nice. Nice.
Let's talk
Not
about
bad at it.
let's talk about the corners.
So for my two corners, and it's going to be more recency bias, but Antoine Winfield and Xavier Rhodes.
Yeah, yeah.
Those two guys locked down, right? To shut down specialists and those two guys. So those are my picks there.
Hard for me to be mad at either of those, man. But
I see a trend.
absolutely. Because to me, Bobby Bryant and Nate Wright were the Xavier Rhodes of Antoine Winfield of the 70s, right?
Okay.
They anchored the defense on the corners in the 70s. So I went one each also, right? I went with
Right.
Bobby Bryant and Antoine Winfield.
Okay. I like it. I
And
mean,
then safety.
Bobby Bryant, he played what for like 40 years?
Yeah. It felt like it, right? That's one of the reasons he's the all-time team leader in interceptions, right?
Right.
That man has 51 interceptions for his career.
51 interceptions, came in the league in 60. Started in 68, ended in 80?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Right. I was looking back at this too. Fran Tarkenton's last year was 78. 78 was the first year the league went to 16 games. Fran went, nah. That's too much, guys. I'm out. I'm too old for that. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, for him to have played all the way to 80, man. Because, guys didn't play. There are not a lot of guys who played double-digit years in this league, right? But Bobby Bryant was a player, man. So then let's go to safety. Let's finish it off with the safeties.
Yeah, that's kind of tough with the amount of great players that they've had, right?
Yeah.
Really, really tough. And you talk about someone like Harrison Smith, the hitman. He's probably gonna be on that team eventually.
Yeah.
But when I think back, Joey Browner, that guy was he was putting in some work.
When it's hard for me to believe when people say his name that he's not in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
I'm like, really? Joey Browner's not in the Hall of Fame? Yeah, I agree with you. Joey Browner was a beast.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Harrison Smith, man. Harrison Smith is a Vikings legend.
He's a Vikings legend, so definitely at some point he'll be up there, right?
Uh,
Definitely. How
it'll,
about
it'll,
you?
it'll be an argument, man, because I've got Browner also, like I said, just great player, man. But again, I go back to the old school and the guy
Mm-hmm.
who I believe is the Vikings all-time leader in interceptions, and that's Paul Krause. Uh,
Right.
Paul, multiple time Pro Bowler. Paul
Mm-hmm.
even played receiver for the team in the early days.
Jeez.
Yeah, so I went with Paul Krause as my other safety. But yeah, Harrison Smith was one of my favorite players, man. It
Yeah.
was hard for me to keep him off that list, too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. I like the Paul Caros. That's nice. I like that.
Yeah, Paul Krause was a player, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Minnesota Vikings, man, as I mentioned, they made, we're talking about Bud Grant, all-time leading, the winningest coach.
Right.
18 seasons, they made the playoffs 12 times, man. We were talking last week about the Lions. They had 15 seasons where they made the 15 playoff appearances. This team has been in existence 30 years fewer and have 32 appearances in the playoffs. So in their existence, the Lions have only made the playoffs 9 times, and the Vikings have made the playoffs 32 times. That
Mm-hmm.
tells you how good that franchise has been over a long period of time. So yeah,
Right.
uh,
Right.
so it was fun breaking down the Minnesota Vikings, man. Revisiting some of the players, some
Let
of
me
the
ask.
old
Let
keys,
me.
some of
You
the old
mentioned.
moments.
So let me ask you this question. You mentioned Chris Carter as a returner.
Yes,
Do you have a all-time Vikings returner?
the
And who is
all-time
it?
Vikings returner for me would have to be Chris Carter.
Okay.
Even over Cordero Patterson, who I
Mm-hmm.
think was a Pro Bowler once or twice for the Vikings as a returner. And then if
Right.
there was an all-timer on special teams, it would be the kicker Fred Cox to me. Even though I
Right. Right.
remember they had a punter who was pretty good in the 80s too. Can't
Mm,
remember his name. But yeah, it would be Fred Cox and Anthony Carter, man. Especially.
okay. The one that jumped out to me is Percy
Percy
Harvin.
Harvin. I had forgot about was Percy Harvin ever all pro, but Percy was a beast too. Percy
I
Harvin
don't
was
think he. I
definitely a
don't think he
beast.
was ever an All Pro, but he did have the most kick returns with 5. So
The most
that
kick
kind of
return
ties.
touchdowns.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep. 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 Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
really,
And
that's interesting. Yeah,
Cordell Patterson had 5 too.
has 5 also. Okay,
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
And how many did Carter have, or did he even come up on the list?
He didn't come up on the list.
Because he only returned punts. He didn't return kickoffs, and both of those
Right.
guys did both.
Right. Exactly. But like you said, man, it's been fun breaking down the Minnesota Vikings.
So let's combine our list, man. Okay, so we'll do like we did last week, guys. Look for it online. We're going to post a collage, if you will, of our combined all-time team when we come up with the combined all-time team for the Talking Black and Blue podcast. We didn't disagree. The only place I think we disagreed on offense, at center. Yeah, it's Sullivan at center, right?
Yeah, I had Sullivan, but I'm okay with Mick
We'll go with
Tingelhoff,
my man Mick Tingelhoff.
all name team.
Right, I was going to say the leader of the all-name team.
Right, right,
And
right.
then running back, you had Dalvin Cook. I had Chuck Foreman. What do you
Yeah,
think?
yeah, I'm good with that.
I was going to say, man, I'm going to have to fight for Chuck.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, that's good. Yeah.
you had Dolman over Carl Eller. Um, I'm going to go ahead and go with Dolman too, man.
Okay.
I'll go with Dolman on that. Like I said, man, I had a hard time keeping him off the list. Um, you had Kevin Williams. I had Alan Page.
Right. Which
Yeah.
one do there?
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. I say put Kevin Williams on and take John Randall off.
Oh, okay.
That got your attention, didn't it? No.
All right. So we're going Alan
I was,
Page
I
and
was
Kevin Williams.
Alan Page, Kevin Williams. No. I was joking when I said that.
Okay.
I'm not taking John Randall off the list. I was joking when I said.
I was like, whoa.
So let's go, Kevin. I'll go Kevin Williams.
Okay.
I'm going to say this to the folks out there. I'm only going Kevin Williams because I know most of you are closer to Tellis's age than mine, and most of you are going to remember Kevin Williams better than you will remember Alan.
Remember Alan Page?
All right, and then we agree with Matt Blair and Chad Greenway at linebacker.
Yep.
And you had Kendricks, right? Who did you have? Who was your third one?
I had Kendricks as my third, but I'm all right with Jeff Solomon.
Let's go Simon there. Yeah, let's go Jeff Simon.
Yep.
Corner.
So
I'm going to say this, man. At corner, Bobby Bryant has to be one of the corners, man.
yeah,
Now, we can go either Whitfield or Rhodes, but, man, Bobby Bryant has to be one of the corners.
Yeah. Let's go Winfield.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
And then safety.
What you want to do on safety? I was okay with
Paul Krause.
Yeah.
I think Paul Krause should be the safety.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I will send you over the list, and we'll put together a graphic, and we'll post that online. You guys can see that online, and give us some feedback. Give us your thoughts. We'd love to hear your thoughts on what you think about our teams. All right, so that wraps us up for this week, guys. Look for next week's episode. We're going to move on, and we're going to talk about the what do they call them? The team from Titletown, the Green Bay Packers. So that ought to be fun to bring down. I definitely think we're going to run into some issues picking some guys there at all positions, right?
Right. I'm going to have to start my research today.
Right. I know that's right. So tell us, my man, what do you have to wrap us up with today, sir?
That's it. Hey, we appreciate you guys hanging out with us. You know that Will and I love talking football, but when we are not, we are agents in the state of Michigan. Tell your friends how much fun we have over here. So, fellas, tell your crew, ladies, tell your friends, hit that subscribe button, and don't be a knucklehead.
Yeah, don't be a knucklehead. Don't bet on sports. Bet on real estate, man. Invest your money in real estate. Hey, I just wanted to give a shout out, man. Tellis and I did a Black History Month event last week here in Southfield, Michigan at the Empowerment Church. Shout out to the Empowerment Church, making an impact in the community. As part of their Black History Month program, they put on a Black Business Expo. There were a number of businesses there, man. I just wanted to give a shout out to a young lady named Lanaya. Her name is Lanaya Bright, man. She was the star of the show to me, man. She was one of the vendors like everybody else, but she went out and networked with everybody, man. If you go to lanayabryant.com, you'll see her website. She has a number of different services that she offers. She's a face painter. She does parties for people. She organizes and arranges parties. She does inspirational speaking to people. She tutors young people, man. Lanaya Bright's just out in the community making a difference, man. I love to give a shout out to people who are out making a difference. So go to lanayabright.com. Look up that young lady if you're here in Metro Detroit, and if you have any services of hers that you can take advantage of, I would encourage you to do that. So that's all we have for this week, folks. Look forward to talking to you next week. We have so much fun doing this, and we will see you next time.
Yes, sir.